So the Book of Boba Fett is finally released onto Disney Plus, and I've already done a video dedicated about how you would be able to watch the Star Wars universe in chronological order, so it makes sense to go ahead and tell you guys my quick thoughts on where I think the Book of Boba Fett would fit within this timeline era. So the way that this video is going to work is that I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the straightforward timeline on where I think the Star Wars universe would work in chronological order. Then I would tell you guys where the Book of Boba Fett would fit into that timeline, and then I would give you guys a little bit of my thoughts on the pilot episode of the show. So this is the list that I would usually go down if I wanted to watch the Star Wars universe in chronological order. So let's go ahead and talk about the Star Wars timeline that I'm talking about. And the movies and shows that I'm bringing in here are the animated shows, the live action shows, and the theatrical films, aside from Clone Wars the movie. I'm not including that one because I haven't seen that one, and I think that you should just go ahead and watch the Clone Wars show instead, because that's a lot more of an interesting show than watching the movie, because I heard the movie was bad. So there's not going to be any games or any other type of Star Wars content on here that you feel like is missing out, but if you feel like that they should be included here, go ahead and put down what other type of content should be included in this timeline down in the comment section below. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that subscribe button in case you are interested in seeing more videos like this. So, the way this timeline works is that at the beginning, I would start with Phantom Menace and then Attack of the Clones, the Clone Wars show, and then Revenge of the Sith, and then The Bad Batch, Solo: A Star Wars Story, Star Wars Rebels, Rogue One, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, The Mandalorian, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and finally, The Rise of Skywalker. Again, there's some extra added details within this list that should have been edited out, but in case you would like to see the full in-depth version of how this timeline system works, again, go and look at the video of how to watch the Star Wars universe in chronological order video that I created on YouTube. Now, in terms of placing where the Book of Boba Fett should be at, I would say that there are two spots that it would be a good fit for you. One spot that really does make sense is that in order to understand the full length of this timeline, it definitely would be in place right after the first two seasons of The Mandalorian show. And that's because this isn't the first time we get to see Boba Fett in action. He was featured in season 2 of The Mandalorian show, and the show lets us fully recognize who this character is, what he's like now, who he was back in the past, leading up towards the present day, and gives us a full three-dimensional character with a personality we haven't necessarily come to know that much, and with this show's help, we have the ability to ease in and enjoy this character for what he truly is. Now, the other placement you can find that's also just as fitting is that you wouldn't even have to watch The Mandalorian show right after Return of the Jedi. You could go ahead and place the Book of Boba Fett right afterwards. And the reason why I say this is because Episode 1 is mostly filled with flashbacks of how did the Book of Boba Fett come from what happened to him in Return of the Jedi to how he got into the Mandalorian show to where he is at in present day. But even if you didn't watch the Mandalorian show, the pilot episode gives you the intrigue by letting you off where Boba Fett was at from Return of the Jedi, and adds in more of this mystery element that already engages you within the character's journey. Even if you didn't watch the Mandalorian show, you're still able to find some gaps that can be filled that makes it sort of a mystery-like type of show, and it still keeps us engaged throughout the story arc of the character Boba Fett. Now, this leads me into my thoughts on the pilot episode of the show. So, what do I think of it? It starts out very strong, and I was really getting into it, and it's mostly due to this being a flashback of what happened to Boba Fett right after what happened to him in Return of the Jedi. And when they decided to cut off that flashback and go back into present day, even when they decided to go back to what happened, the show started to become average to me. I'm pretty sure that the show can probably get better on the way over there, but if the entire episode was just as strong as that introduction, then I would have loved this episode, and I would highly be on board with all of the other episodes and couldn't wait to see what's going to happen next. And I guess the reason why I was so engaged with it is probably because Robert Rodriguez was the one that directed it, and he was the guy that directed some of the Boba Fett episodes that were in the Mandalorian show, so I can tell that this dude has a passion for this character, so I am interested to see more of what's going on further down the road with the show. There's a really good soundtrack. I was worried that it would be like a ripoff of the Mandalorian show, but no, it's its own thing. It's epic and very proud, and it does feel like it is owned towards the character Boba Fett. There's like some CGI effects in here that is a little distracting, and I hope that I don't get to see that too often. It's not like terrible or horrible like you would recognize it from the straight to like the DVD collection sets from the original Star Wars trilogy, but it's still noticeable, and it's that thing within the Star Wars universe where you can't help but point it out, and you wanted to go back to like doing the mixture of like prop effects and the combination of CGI that would make it less noticeable. But it's only like one gleaming thing that I've noticed throughout the show, and throughout the most part, they still utilize the craftsmanship pretty well. So far, I'm engaged with what the setup is, like a very strong opening. I'm hoping that the rest of the show is exactly like that, and yeah, that's basically it. When I first saw that the show was being made, I wasn't that excited to see it, but after seeing this episode, I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. But anyways, what did you guys think of this episode, and what do you think about this placement within the timeline of this universe? Did you like this episode, dislike it, agree with this timeline, or disagree with it? Put your thoughts down in the comment section below, and let's have a conversation about it. And like this video if you agree with what I say, or dislike this video if you disagree with what I say. I don't mind the dislikes. So that is it I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video.